Alright guys, so I was going down a YouTube rabbit hole the other day, and I stumbled across some old MCU trailers. By old, I mean, I don't know, the past few years. So not that old, not, Iron Man 1 kind of trailers, just in the past few years. Some older MCU trailers that I hadn't seen in a while. And I started to watch them. And it got me thinking. The MCU is definitely going through a phase, no pun intended. I mean, it's definitely struggling, right? There's no doubt about that. And even those of us who love the MCU acknowledge it's struggling, right? You don't get your Captain America, Brave New World, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanias, Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, all films, by the way, which I think are fine, ranging from to decent, right? But not, we just didn't get that during the Infinity Saga. So the MCU is not in the best place. But one thing that I actually just hadn't thought about in a long time, until I stepped back and started to watch a lot of these trailers, is that their trailers have not slowed down at all. And I want to kind of take a step back and just think about that for a second, because maybe, I'm not saying that we should just never get excited when we see an MCU trailer again. That's not the point of this. The point is to say, okay, the MCU trailers that have come out, and I'll talk about a few key examples here, are great. And they get you really excited because they're showing you the best glimpses of the movies. But in reality, good trailers don't mean great films. Bad trailers don't mean bad films, right? Because it's all about, trailer making is an art form in itself. Trailer making is taking a lot of clips, right? Key clips from a movie, trying not to spoil the entire plot, although some trailer companies, don't care about that at all. Batman v Superman, third trailer, I'm looking at you, the one with Doomsday in it. But the trailer company is usually taking the clips, trying not to spoil the movie, and making it artistically satisfying so that the clips fit together really well, even though they're not related to one another. The music, whatever music they decide, if they get a composer to, make a cover of maybe a Star Wars score or an MCU theme or whatnot, make it emotional in itself, right? The Black Panther Wakanda Forever first trailer was just an emotional piece in itself. And that's amazing. That's an amazing feat. That's an amazing accomplishment. And I just want to think back to Phase 4 and Phase 5, rather. And think about those trailers. Because, yes, Phase 4 and Phase 5 have been hit or miss. But the trailers to those movies have been awesome. And I think that part of the reason why, for me personally, I get so sad and disappointed about, the state of the MCU right now is not because it's terrible and not because it's tanking completely. The MCU can pick it up right away with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. But it's because the promise of those trailers had always been there and shown what those movies could have been. Right? It showed the best parts of those movies. It showed what those movies could have been. So let's take a look back really quickly and see. Because look, again, I think the MCU has had really good trailers for a long, long time. And I'm realizing now that the quality of those trailers have not been dictating the quality of the movies lately. And I think that that's interesting. I think that again, leads to my disappointment in certain cases because I'm like, wow, the trailers, looking back on them, showed the best version of what the movie ended up being. And I think that that's really interesting. So first of all, let's go all the way back. WandaVision, I think the trailers were fantastic. Falcon and the Winter Soldier trailers were awesome. Loki trailers were awesome. And WandaVision was awesome. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was okay. And Loki was a mixed bag. The Hawkeye trailer I thought was really good. Then you get into your Black Widows, right? And I think the Black Widow trailer was fine. But actually, that movie ended up being probably better than a lot of other movies that had lesser trailers, in my opinion. I think that that's interesting, right? Let's move on to Eternals. I like the Eternals trailers a lot, and I ended up liking those movies quite a lot. What else is there? Shang-Chi. The Shang-Chi trailers were pretty good, right? Really solid trailers, and I loved Shang-Chi. So you're starting to see there just isn't a correlation here. Because, in general, those MCU trailers have all really hit hard. Spider-Man No Way Home, I maintain, actually, if you look back on it, the hype for Spider-Man No Way Home was what really carried that film's marketing. But those trailers in themselves were good, really good. And I loved Spider-Man No Way Home. But those trailers, not the best, but they were still really, really good. The Moon Knight trailer, really good. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had a couple really solid trailers, and that movie ended up being fine. It ended up being okay. Thor Love and Thunder, I thought, had a couple really, really funny trailers, and that just ended up being okay. Actually, I'm moving on to Ms. Marvel. I thought Ms. Marvel's trailer was not that good. Or it wasn't bad, but it was okay. And it had that Weeknd song, Blinded by the Lights, but it was okay. And I love Ms. Marvel for the most part. So that's interesting. She-Hulk might have been the first series where I kind of went, oh, I don't really love these trailers. Because I think She-Hulk somehow captured the parts of the show that I really didn't love. And I ended up actually enjoying the show, I think, a little more than the trailer. So that might be the exception to that. Obviously, I talked about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Loved that movie. Loved those trailers. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, I actually thought the trailer was just fine, and I really liked the Holiday Special. We move into Phase 5. I had really been looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania because I thought the trailers were so good. So good. And the movie ended up being fine. It ended up being okay. Guys, remember though, I'm not going to go in order for the rest of it. I'm just going to talk about different projects. The Guardians trailers were fine. The Guardians trailers were good. But, remember Echo? Remember how good the Echo trailer was? I thought the Echo trailer was really good. And the project ended up being okay. I love the Secret Invasion trailers. I thought they were great. Guardians trailer, Guardians 3, I thought was fine, and it ended up being pretty good in my opinion. And let's go to Captain America: Brave New World. I thought the Captain America: Brave New World trailers were really, really good because it showed the best parts of those movies, and the way that they fit together, the way that they were edited to being a really paranoia thriller. It was a story within itself. And ultimately, I think that that's just an interesting thing to note here. Deadpool and Wolverine, I think that's the last project I didn't mention. Deadpool and Wolverine, and Werewolf by Night, but Deadpool and Wolverine in particular, I think those trailers, actually in hindsight, again, were riding the hype of a Spider-Man No Way Home because they knew, the directors, the people making the trailers knew exactly what people were tuning in for. Looking forward to Wolverine, looking forward to the Spider-Man and the multiverse aspects of Spider-Man No Way Home. They knew. So those were a little different. But in general, right, my point is that while the MCU has fallen, and I again, not fallen too far, but fallen, the trailers, I think, continue to show the promise that the MCU has. Because every single one of these trailers, maybe except for She-Hulk, and again, I like She-Hulk more than the trailers. I did. But every single one of these properties shows that the MCU still has that promise. These projects still have that promise. And of course, you can make a good trailer out of almost any movie. That's fair. But I think that what these trailers are doing is capturing the essence of what the best version of these movies and shows are. Right? You look at your Moon Knights, you look at your Captain America: Brave New Worlds, you look at your Echoes, your Secret Invasions, right? And I think that gives me some hope. Not because the trailer people are making these movies. I mean, look at 2016 Suicide Squad, how disastrous that was when a trailer company, fought with the studio and made one of the cuts of the movie, right? But I think that it just gives me optimism that the MCU still has that, magic in it. It just needs to really draw it out and bring it to the forefront. And here's hoping that Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are examples of movies with great trailers and great movies. So, guys, what do you think about the MCU trailers? Do you think that they've been as good as they have been always, or do you think that they've fallen off as well as the quality of the MCU projects themselves? Let me know in the comments down below.